Hi, thank you all for coming. Today I would like to tell you about a truly inspiring person, Wilma Rudolph. In the 1960s, she was known as the fastest woman in the world. She is known for saying, "Winning is great, sure, but if you're really going to do something in life, the secret is learning how to lose. If you can pick up after a crushing defeat and go on to win again, you're going to be a champion one day." Displaying her bravery and her determination, Wilma said, "My doctor told me I would never walk again. My mother told me I would. I believe my mother." Imagine what your life would be like without the use of your legs. What would you be able to do without them? What have you done with them? Wilma was born on June 23rd, 1940 to Ed and Blanche Rudolph. She was born premature at 4.5 pounds and constricted several childhood diseases after that. She was the 20th of 22 children, and her mother was not allowed to go to the White Hospital at that day and age because they were still segregated. And so her mother brought her home and nursed her to health. She went through measles, mumps, scarlet fever, and chickenpox. And then later, by the age of 6, she contracted polio, which crippled her left leg and it got deformed. She was finally admitted to the White Hospital for a brief appointment with the doctor. They told her she would never walk again, and her mother was determined to nurse her. She determined otherwise. Twice a week for twice a year, they drove 50 miles to a white hospital in Tennessee, and where they sought treatment. She wore corrective shoes, leg braces, and did exercises on her own to try and heal herself. 40 years later, she looked back and said it was the hardest part of her life, but she made it through with her supportive family. They were there with her all the way, and her mom was her strongest figure in her life. At the age of 12, her miracles began. One day she decided she was going to take off her leg brace. She stood up, walked, and the doctors were stunned. Immediately she decided she wanted to be an athlete. So her school didn't have a track and field team, so she tried out for basketball like her sister. She sat out for the first 3 years of her career, and then later in her sophomore year she was the starting point guard on her team, became the leading point scorer on her team, and led them to a state championship. There she met Ed Temple, who recruited her for a summer camp at TSU, and then later offered her a full-ride scholarship. That would allow her to be the first person in her family to actually receive a formal education because they were so poor. In 1956, miracles began again. After training with Ed Temple, she was qualifying for the 4x100-meter Olympics event, and she went on and competed. Her team won the bronze medal. She was 16 at that time, the youngest American athlete. Then, for the next 4 years, she returned to TSU after graduating high school. She received a degree in education while training with her coach. And then in the 1960s, she became a triple gold medalist. She set the world record in the 200 and 100-meter dash in the semifinals. Needless to say, she won the gold medal in those same events. She also won the gold medal in the 4x1 with 44.5 seconds. She quickly became the fastest woman in the world, and everyone exploded into ecstasy as she rose to fame. Wilma was honored and received many awards. One of the most prestigious was the United Press Athlete of the Year of 1960. She was also the Associated Press Athlete for the year 1960 and 1961. She became a teacher later and a coach and speaker. She traveled across the country. There was a parade held in her hometown of Clarksville, Tennessee in her honor, and the mayor asked her if she would like to participate, and she declined at first because he was going to have it segregated and she wanted it to be a mix. She became a leading civil rights activist as well. In 1983, she was inducted into the Olympic Hall of Fame and also the Track and Field Hall of Fame. She wrote her autobiography called Wilma, which was later, in 1977, transferred into a motion picture. There's a statue erected in her hometown, right there. And then in 1994, she contracted brain cancer and struggled through that for a year. In 2004, she was placed on a stamp in memory of her. Like, she's quoted by saying, "Never underestimate the power of dreams and the influence of the human spirit. We're all the same in this notion. The potential for greatness lives in each of us."